being self-motivated is key. I mean, again, anybody can learn anything, but sometimes that means you have to teach yourself. Like in this type of role, I'd been in roles before where somebody had already been there before me, right? And they could teach me how to do it. But in that role, no one had been there before me. Yeah. So I had to teach myself. I had to look for ways to make it work that others would then get to use those skills after me. Being able to Google and learn and be like, okay, how do banks keep track of their clients? And then being able to implement some sort of system. Googling how to be a salesman. I had no idea how to go out and convince a bank to be my partner, how to convince these bankers to say, hey, we can't do it, but here's someone who can. How do I convince them that I'm the right person to go with, the right company? Yeah. So just taking time and Googling that and learning it myself I learned now that that's going to carry on to the rest of my life.
So let's say you have someone you're going in to meet. Do you feel like it's just a natural ability to be able to talk to people, or are you game planning at all? Like, do you do research before you go into a meeting to like know kind of where to lead a conversation, or do you feel like it's more of like a natural gift?
Oh, I love this question. Mainly because when I talk to any of my friends or many of my friends and I tell them what I do, they're like, yeah, of course you do it. It has to come naturally for you. And I'm like, no, it's something that I've worked on my entire life without realizing it. Yep. But now I can kind of water it down to like pinpoints that I do almost with every interaction to connect with people, because as much as I do want to know everything about everyone, it doesn't work like that, right? I can't do that. But there is still some sort of, I don't want to say formula, but there's kind of a formula of how to connect and how to have relationships. I think it's just, again, a skill that you learn and having someone be able to teach it to you. So I think maybe some part of it has to be genuine. Like if you are naturally a person that likes people, then sure, it comes easier. But I think we aren't necessarily taught how to be relational. And I think that's something you can learn. I think parts of it are being prepared. If I'm going into a specific bank to go talk about their products, I should probably look up who I'm going to be talking to. Yeah. What are their highlights? What do they do really well? And then what don't they do really well? And how can I be of service in that area? And then also, people love talking about themselves. Oh, yeah. Let them talk about themselves. Mm-hmm. This is something that I have learned very early on as a child. My dad used to say this. He was like, people love being the center of attention, even if they think they don't. Yeah. We like sharing our stories. So I have learned, again.
Why do you think I have a light behind my head?
Yes, because of this. Yeah. So seriously, I do the same thing when I'm meeting with partners. It's the same thing as in any connection you're going to build. People are going to feel so much more connected to you if you let them be themselves. Yeah. If they feel like you're the one, you're talking too much and they have to almost impress you, then it doesn't feel authentic, right? Mm-hmm. We don't feel comfortable. It feels more transactional. But if you let them be the ones to guide the conversation, they're going to feel at home and they're going to want to keep talking to you.
Okay. So to alleviate small talk, I hate small talk.
Yeah, same.
To alleviate small talk when you go into these meetings, do you have any go-to questions that you'll whip out? You're like, oh, this is old trusty, old reliable. Do you have any, like you walk in, do you have any questions that you like to ask to kind of set the tone for like a meeting?
I do. And you can't laugh at me because I have a lot. I have so many questions I have that I whip out, but it's mainly just to calm things down. I think when you walk into a meeting, especially a meeting that you're either going to be sold to or there's some sort of motive behind, it's a little bit of high tension. Everyone feels a little uncomfortable. So my goal is to bring that down and just be like, we're all just people trying to do our jobs. Okay. It's not that deep. So I usually ask, or not, it depends. I have a lot of them, but vacation, I just be like, did you go on any vacations recently? Or like, what's that? You sit down, you start talking, introduce names, trying to do the small talk. And then I ask the vacation question. Cause I mean, who doesn't love talking about where they went when they're not at work? Let's be honest. So that usually gets people at least comfortable enough to where they're letting their guard down. And it's like, okay, you just told me about something pretty intimate, where you went on vacation and spent time with your money and family and friends. Yeah. And then that can open the door for, now you trust me because I told you the same thing back. And now we can start building that connection.
Yeah, I like that. I think never answering when someone asks, hey, how are you doing? Like never answering that good. Be like, hey, I'm doing good. And then giving a little piece of why you're doing good, or I'm doing okay. Yeah, I had kids in the morning. And then reciprocating that question and kind of like passing the ball over. Hey, like, you have any kids? You married?
Yes.
And they're like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Something that's very, very relatable. And kind of humanizes you is super helpful.